I don't know, Ellen, if you got a chance to
Mhm.
look at the materials that were sent out, the city surveys and the other um, documents. There's like a two word clouds and a U.S. Leisure and Oregon Library Services survey information.
Yeah, those
Mhm.
two things, the our strategic plan and that document that Brenda created were the ones that I sent when we in preparation for the last meeting that we
Mhm.
had to cancel. And then the thing I sent you today, the city survey is new.
Oh, okay. I didn't look at that then.
Yeah, that's the only one that's I just got that from Crystal I don't know, a
Okay.
couple days ago, and I'm behind getting it to you guys. So anyway, we can I have everything ginned up if
Yeah.
you want to go through it. I'm happy to share screen or however you want to handle that.
What I was thinking is that because we have the strategic plan lays out um, the action item that I believe we're here on, which is the transformational plan, and that's why I asked for those number of things so we could see, okay, where's the library been and where is it going, or where are the needs of the community going. And I guess what I was hoping to nail down was some language about how to now and going forward to have a process for um, having a transformational plan. So next time we have a strategic plan and we're implementing it, and we have a transformational plan, how to go about achieving that. Um, and I think one of the prior meetings we had was kind of just because of the delays between meetings and kind of a lack of clarity of our purpose, whether we're trying to like create a process or execute a process or like develop a transformational plan to get us to where we think the library should be. I thought that would be a good place to kind of anchor us, if that makes sense. Ellen, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, that does take a step back and like be clear about what we're doing.
And what I was thinking is it would be um, a good idea to have this information about like the survey information about other libraries, and to have at least one meeting where you go through the transformational plan to be in person at the library, because I think getting a sense of the space and what's there is pretty important. Like we have like the seed library and things that you can't really get a good grasp of by having a list of items or services that the library gives. But I think just generally my thought was to gather information about like the what services and items have been used over the past 5 years, and then get the survey of leisure activities and information on other libraries. And I think the transformational plan would be something like directing the library or the director to like pursue certain changes, like more um, cooking related things in the makerspace and the library of things, and the products, or just like some sort of soft direction as to where we think that the library should focus its resources towards getting the library towards where we think it should be in 5 years. Um,
I think that idea of meeting at the library is really great idea because you're right. Until you like see it, see
yeah,
what's actually happening with that strategic lens focus.
When you
yeah.
say
That's
meet at the
awesome.
library, do you mean I'm catching up here? Do you mean didn't quite catch it, subcommittee or the whole board?
I mean, the transformational plan subcommittee,
Okay,
so that
got it.
the board would direct the subcommittee to say like, okay, part of our strategic plan is to have a transformational plan, like a vision of the future, and we want you to give the whole board some direction on where we think that should be going. And then we gather these pieces of information as well as see in person what the library has to offer and then ask questions of staff and then come up with kind of, we think this is trending down, like we should focus, some amount of fewer resources towards this area. This is trending up, we believe, so resources in this area should be increased or focused on more, and just kind of give a I guess an advisory opinion or some guidance towards the library director as to what changes should be made.
I think also if we could put like a budget lens on it, because we know the real challenges the city's facing.
Yeah.
So what are the real priorities, or what are some creative ways we can address those priorities?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that. Thank you, Ellen. I think, yes, to what you said. I guess I don't have anything else to offer except that I think particularly in this coming fiscal year, because our budget is going to be tighter than it has been, having the board's perspective on priorities is going to be especially significant, important, because
So-
we're going to have less, less to work with.
So I get, I'm sorry.
No,
I guess what I'm hoping to get at the conclusion of this today in kind of a less broad and I guess flowing pieces of information is kind of a paragraph or kind of like a step by step as to what this process now and going forward is going to involve.
Okay.
And so we have that, and then we can bring that to the full board and say, hey, this is what our view of how the transformational plan as a subcomponent of the strategic plan should be pursued and implemented, and then get their okay, and then we come up with the recommendations as to, given the budget and the needs of the community, here's where we think efforts and resources should be focused or increased or decreased, etc.
So putting a timeline on that, Aaron, to say, we anticipate doing this piece of work, like doing the library visit.
Well, I think it would be, so we know we have a strategic plan every 5 years. It would be like making a recommendation as to like when we, like something in the bylaws that says when we do that, we're gonna have a part of it is a transformational plan that is what our vision of the future is and how we're going to recommend implementing it. And then this is how we're going to go about, actually holding ourselves accountable and making that, gathering the information and then actually making a recommendation through the board to the library staff as to where to focus efforts and resources. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, a timeline, yes, there'll be something in there. But I mean, the timeline would be like within,
X months.
in 6 months of adopting a strategic plan, then we, designate a subcommittee to gather these pieces of information, meet with the library director and library staff. That's, I guess, that would be another piece of information that would be gathered, and then to make recommendations to the board as to what we're going to be requesting the library to focus their time and resources on.
And then the board passes some kind of
resolution, and we say we're recommending that the library director pursue this path as part of our transformation plan.
Okay. Just to back up for a second, because the board is advisory, we just need to be careful about the language we use around recommendations to staff.
No, I that's why I said kind of an advisory
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm making notes. I missed that word.
Because I'm guess sensitive to that. We're not in charge of those things, nor are we, directly in charge of micromanaging your role and saying, buy this book or whatever. But
Yeah.
we can say, like, we think this is increasing in popularity and or going to be very helpful to the community. And we think resources should be focused on that. And we think, this is declining in popularity or less helpful than we thought it was 5 years ago. And so we think maybe focus on that should be decreased.
Okay.
And then pass a resolution. The library board believes these should be our areas of focus.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and I think that's an important piece in there. You said visit the library and talk to the staff. So it's not just we're like looking at it from our perspective, we're getting their input as well when we're
Yeah.
saying, here's our recommendations.
Who knows what people are actually asking for?
Mhm.
Not me directly.
Yep. Okay. And then you're saying this would be a ongoing process potentially added to the bylaws. So what we could do to the board now is say, this is the proposed process, and we're actually on this step already because we've gathered the info, right? We've
Yeah.
established a subcommittee, we've gathered the info. We're in the process of reviewing the info. Our next step will be to set up this visit and consultation with the staff and then come back to you within like a month or something. So like kind of setting some dates and milestones for ourselves and the board.
So we would, this would be our meeting where we get approval from the board on the process. And then our next subcommittee meeting would be at the library. And then our next meeting would be giving recommendations to the full board about implementing the transformational plan.
Okay, that works for me. I like that because it'll give us some momentum to move forward.
I just was persistently uncomfortable with our lack of clarity and focus in our prior meetings. Where it was like, what are we would be talking about a lot of things, and then we kept coming back to is this the process or is this the actual plan we're implementing? And I think we should use some direction or some confirmation that this is the route the full board wants us to take.
So I just wrote down subcommittee has gathered information. Then today, are you going to talk to the board about this process that you announced?
I don't know if it's too late to have it on the agenda. If it is, then we can just bump that up, put it on next month's agenda.
No, it's okay because we have, sorry to interrupt. We have on the agenda, it says strategic planning subcommittee under old business. So
yeah. Let me think. Oh, I was gonna, the types of information we want to make sure that are being requested. So that's the breakdown of current budget, that is where resources are allocated or towards what, items or services.
Okay.
As well, not just this year's, but what I threw out earlier was 5 years prior. So we could kind of see like, this is how we're trending. And then those types of surveys, if available, like the one you sent out, the city survey, and then rather the word cloud information, I suppose. And then
yeah, there is more specific data in that in both of those docs, so you can drill down and I mean there's that our strategic plan document has so much information and it's got all of the quote, I compiled everything that anybody had said on those surveys. So there's that. And then the city one is pretty short. I think I want to say 10 pages. I can't remember now, but anyway, so not overwhelming. Okay, so oops, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so Erin was mentioning the budget need them 5 years prior. So that's a piece of info we still need, but do we have all the other information we need, Erin? As best, as realistically possible.
I think so. When let me see. So yeah, the breakdown of the what is this? The information from the different libraries
Mhm.
gives us an idea of what kind of activities they have. Do they um, differ from our community? Obviously, some of them do, and then we can look at them and see. Okay, this is one of the discussions I had in determining what kind of information we wanted is obviously we're not comparing ourselves to Portland or New York City or something like
Right.
that, and even geographical and population differences within the state of Oregon have significant consequences as to what that population needs or wants. So I think looking at those things, and they're in that information. This is like this activity or type of item is located or is available in library N or M or whatnot, and we can look at those things and talk about what, if any, changes we want to make. So I do think, other than the background, like the budget and collection information for the 5 years prior, I think we have everything we want.
Okay.
But that is my thoughts. If there's other information that you think we might need to adequately address the transformational plan, I would be happy to recommend we add that as well.
It captures it. So, comparable cities and best practices, the financial lens, the survey information, what the community has said. And those are the external view. What are other libraries doing? What are our community members saying? And what do we have to work with? But then when we speak to the staff too, we can also get their perspectives.
Yeah.
What are we missing? It might be worth thinking about, are there not trying to create work at all, Suzanne, but one or two questions we maybe want them to think about so that when we meet with them, they're prepared. I don't know what those questions are right now, but just, to structure the meetings and use the time efficiently.
Yeah. So a couple questions about that. We could, couple thoughts. We're coming into summer starting next week, and things are going to be pretty, it'll be beautiful chaos for a couple of months, for 8 weeks, if you will. We have 2 staff meetings planned. We do have one this month. I could look at the dates. We have another one we have the one in July scheduled, and then I don't think we have August scheduled yet, but we could do maybe extend one of our staff meetings, and you two can come in and you could give them the questions in advance, and then you two could just kind of lead a discussion about that. Or do you want to do it in smaller groups? What do you think would work?
I think maybe what are your views on the impact of your staff, considering it is the busy season?
Mhm.
I mean, I do like that idea of chatting with everybody.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm also in the library once a week volunteering. I can always follow up, or if anybody has anything they want to, they think of later. I mean, I could collect that information and share it with the subcommittee as well.
Okay. It seems to me that, well, I have a couple thoughts. One is, different personalities. I think some people like Terry and Dan would be more comfortable in a smaller setting, not speaking in the group.
Yep.
And then there are some people that are just going to pop right up, and the extroverts amongst us are gonna. So I think it would probably be most efficient to do it in a staff meeting, but maybe more effective to do it in a smaller setting with small groups or a few people here and there, and we can get the schedule sorted. I can't do it this month, but starting in early July, if we wanted to sort the schedule so that we could accommodate your guys' schedules and get the oh shoot, Jana's here. Hang on a second.
So have a meeting with one or 2 or 3 of them, like small subgroups.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we could do that with the introverts like Karina, Terry. Who else did I just say?
Dan.
Dan. Those 3 are, I think Jana.
It's actually a nice grouping too, Suzanne, because it's their perspective as the library assistants.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing, that's a good point, is their, hi Jana,
Hi, Jana.
how you doing? We are recording.
Then I will choose my words carefully. I'm so sorry I'm late, but
Okay.
I am here.
It's okay, we got it. So, I'll jump back in with one thing we were talking about, and then I'll step out of the way if somebody wants to do a recap for Jana. Yes, I think just the one thing I was gonna say is library assistants, because they have a different perspective, I think it might be most effective to have them as a group and then have the full-time staff, because we have obviously different responsibilities. And we all work very closely together, but the long-term projects and the major programs and all that kind of stuff is full-time staff. So I'm thinking out loud here, but that might be a good way to split the group up, and we can back up the library assistants if you guys wanted to take them aside and have a conversation with them.
What do you think of that idea, Aaron?
I think that would be good. Yeah, to get the, I guess, different views from those groups. I was just thinking of my questions for them would be sort of what would you do if we had unlimited resources, and then what is your anything notable you get frequently asked about that we don't have. I think the opposite side of that, I don't think would be productive, right? I'm not going to ask staff, like, what do you think we should get rid of, for things like that. I don't think that would be useful. But that's more for looking at like the survey information and the leisure and library activities survey information to see, okay, what seems to be being used less these days.
I would offer that I don't think anybody would be uncomfortable with answering that question. I mean, we spend a lot of time as a staff, we'd have to talk about budget and how that's going to affect what we do. The library assistants, they're there. They're there all the time. They know what people, maybe we could be using or should be using our resources differently according to them.
I guess you could phrase it, what resource exceeds the community need, like doesn't actually fit, rather than how I phrased it ineptly a short time ago. Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Okay. So we gathered the info. We're going to get some additional info. We're going to analyze the info. We're going to have an on-site, our next subcommittee meeting on-site to do a library visit. We'll also have interviews with staff. Then take all that information in another subcommittee meeting, put it together for a proposal with recommendations from purely advisory to the board, have the board vote on it, and then hand that over to Suzanne as our perspective, our advice only, not direction.
Guess what the board will be voting on is this is our transformational plan, like what actions we believe should be taken to achieve our vision that's kind of laid out and I guess set up through our strategic plan that we voted on previously. I was going to say that I don't think there's, given the summer issue, this is something that I think should have been done within some amount of time after we voted on the strategic plan. So I don't think there's like a huge rush that we get it done within the next 3 months. If it was more useful to meet when there's not that rush, or when your resources aren't being used up to deal with the heightened community need during the summer. I don't think there would be any problem with that.
I'm looking at our schedule. I might be overstating how busy we're going to be. We are a lot busier at the desk than normal, throughout the summer, obviously. But, just looking at, I mean, there are like, I don't know. Let me look at the staff meeting schedule, and let me just see if, I mean, the other option would be, I don't know if this makes sense, but if we did breakouts after a staff meeting, I don't know if it would be helpful, like somebody to talk to full-time staff, somebody to talk to library assistants at the same time, like a breakout at the end of the staff meeting. And then you don't have to, then we'll have everybody together, but we don't have to all have that conversation as a whole group. And we can do that at a staff meeting in the summer.
Okay.
Really?
I can't promise that we can get everybody together, that we can, it would be really hard for us to get the library assistants separated during the, I was gonna say school day, during the day, during a work day. So I don't know if you.
When are your staff meetings? You guys meet before the library opens typically?
Yeah, we meet at 8:45 on Fridays. You want to know, I could take a quick look at.
No. I was just curious, like that's how you're able to get them without cover issues. Yeah.
Yep, yeah, we meet early and then some folks, go back home and some stay to work. And we have this last meeting, because we had Summer Library Challenge to go over and a whole bunch of other stuff as well around budget, etc. We had, we closed, or we opened 15 minutes late so that we had an extra half an hour to meet. Excuse me. So we could conceivably do that. We could start trying meeting earlier. I don't know. I'm trying
for you guys to keep the library closed on behalf of this.
Beg your pardon?
I'd hate for you to keep the library closed on behalf of this.
Yeah.
To open later. Yeah.
It would be harder in the summer, but also we never do. I mean, we did this last month. That's the first time since I've gotten here that we've done that. We do that very rarely. And it seems to me that if that's going to work the best, we'll just do it. I mean,
okay.
If Friday mornings are quiet for us, usually that's one of the reasons we do it then. So yeah, anyway, it's something to think about. I'll look at our staff meeting schedule. I'll give you what's June and July. If you think June's not too soon. It's the end of the month, I think. I have it on here. I'm just looking at my schedule.
I was muted. So that would be a Friday this month.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see. Sorry, I'm having a hard time with my email and it's freezing. I'll get it to you. It's gonna take me a long time to, I have to restart it, so. Okay, so here's what I'm giving you. I'm giving you the staff meeting schedule. You have everything you need except the budget. I have it sitting right here, so I will just forward it to you if I have time right before this meeting or after the, well, was it helpful for me to do that roundup email after the last meeting? Did you find that useful?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'll do the same thing then. It might be tomorrow. What's today? Monday? Yeah, it might be tomorrow or Wednesday.
Right. Are we good until we talk to the full board?
I think so. It's Jana need to be caught up. She might not know what,
what we're talking about. So
we decided.
What are we talking?
Yeah, whatever you're talking about, I'm sure I will agree with.
I'll summarize. So we were talking about some of the previous meetings we had on this subject. So we're talking about the transformational plan, which is a subcomponent of the strategic plan. And we were kind of going back and forth between how to go about what information to gather to make recommendations on a plan, or talking about what changes should make, like what would benefit the community and whatnot. And I proposed, and we set out kind of a process that would follow now and then in the future in adopting recommendations to make as to how to achieve the vision we set out in our strategic plan, how to transform us from now until what we want to be. And so that would be gather information like library use for different libraries around the state, activities they participate in, the budget information, and like city survey and use of the library survey information, and then meet with the library staff and talk to them about what they think patrons are wanting to use more, and what they think could be focused on a little bit less, and then use that information to recommend to the full board, here's what recommendations we think we should make to the library director as to changes we should make, like focus on certain things or focus less on other things, and then adopt that as the transformational plan with the full board.
Makes total sense, and it sounds like a good plan.
Right.
Okay, so you have it may be hard to follow, not hard to follow, but the one document that I sent you that says it's called hang on, US Leisure and Oregon Library Services.
Yeah.
That document has the census information that you asked for, and then following that, it has a list of Brenda did a pretty comprehensive search, a very comprehensive search of other libraries.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone else is looking at it, but it's different activities and things that other libraries offer, and the population information about those cities, so we could compare it and have a discussion about where we think our community is going or should go.
Yeah, and there's some nuances here that we can talk about at the next meeting if you want. For example, North Bend Public Library, their population is the same as ours, but that is a very wealthy community. So, for example, the opportunities that they have are very different than ours. For example, they have a full-time marketing person for their library system, and those kinds of things. So when we talk about them, I just offer that I might give us some perspective, or if you'd like, I can do that in writing in preparation for the next meeting. I'm just looking at the list. Yeah, whatever you guys want. And then you have what's called the Kosh survey. That's the one, that's a city. You have the library strategic plan questions. And then I have the budget right here, the 5-year budget. I'll actually copy and scan. I'll scan for you guys as soon as I get off the phone. Get it to you. And those are the things that I have on my list of things that you're looking for. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I to answer your question or your two suggestions, I think in writing some of the, I guess what you're referring to is saying like some things to keep in mind when comparing these cities' activities and offerings to us. That would be useful to have in writing, so we can say, okay, just as a follow-up page under that, or as
Okay.
like a asterisk or a footnote on page 6, like please consider this information when comparing these.
Got it. Okay. All right, I can do that. I might ask her to sort this by population too, so that it'll be a little bit easier to get that perspective. You know what I
I
mean?
was just gonna ask so when like our program, when we are compared to other programs statewide, it's all population based. So like my caseload is compared to other similar population center. So I get compared to Hood River a lot for, funding comparisons and caseload and that kind of stuff. Does something like that happen for libraries? So it makes it easier to compare apples to apples, so to speak?
We have, oh, sorry, Michelle just waved me. We have state statistics, which is quite comprehensive and probably has some of that information. I can also ask the state library staff if they know of anything like that. Otherwise, yeah, let me,
Yeah.
I don't know, let me get some thought. Would you ask that question again, just so I can make sure I got it right?
Well, maybe I can explain it better. So in WIC, we're broken out by tiers. So it's your caseload and kind of your general population base, so that like my program isn't being compared to Multnomah County's program. And so I was just wondering if there's something similar with libraries. So like St. Helens Public Library can be compared to other similar library systems. That makes it much easier to kind of gauge programs and those kinds of things. I mean, population interests vary, of course,
Right.
but sometimes it helps if you are kind of all in that same crowd comparing,
Yeah.
because, I definitely am not the Beverly Hills WIC program. And it's really hard when we get compared to other programs that have so much resource that we don't have. But if we can be compared to similar, it makes it easier to figure out kind of where we need to go and what things we need to plan for. So.
Okay. Okay. I will ask, I'm going to do a couple things. I'll ask Brenda to resort this by population, because that's going to give us some of the information. A lot of the smaller communities, I'm just looking at the list. A lot of the smaller communities are part of library systems, consortiums, or library service districts or special districts, excuse me. So it is hard to compare us by size, but Brenda can go back and she can look at the state statistics, and maybe there's some ways to kind of get more of the nuances here than, and the other thing is the service population is different than actual population. For example, you see Scappoose, its special library district, it's got 12,463 in its service area, but they only have 8,247 or something like that as population. So anyway, that's a lot of nuances we don't need to talk about right now. So, all right. So what I'm doing is I'm going to ask Brenda to reorder, and I'm going to see what we can do about being more specific about systems or libraries that are more in line with what we do. I mean, one of the reasons, one other thing I'd ask or say is that one of the reasons I asked her to do the bigger ones is because there's so much out there to choose from that there might be some things that inspire us, or think, oh gosh, hadn't thought about how we do computer teaching or whatever it is. There's an idea from Multnomah. All right. Okay.
I think that is all I can think of to do or to discuss right now. Does anybody have anything else?
All good for me.
Hearing nothing, do we have a motion to adjourn our subcommittee?
Like a this committee.
Could we, Aaron, could I talk to you separately now? I can't figure out how to, I'm having a hard time I have these two screens and I'm trying to figure out how to stop recording because there we go. I'm going to stop recording and then.
Do we need to second and vote on the adjournment?
I got ahead.
I'll just say I second the motion to adjourn, and any discussion Hearing nothing, all in favor?
I
Aye. So we are
Okay.
adjourned. Thank you.